The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. As always, we are honored to share the time with you. Really excited for tonight's show. The senator, the alleged senator, is here tonight with us. We'll get back to that, though, but I'm not sure if you guys can see, but check out his kicks.
Fresh to death.
Yeah, he literally just did that for you. If this is your first time watching the show, Exit Team Nashua is a show that we come on air and we offer experience, strength, and hope for anyone who might be suffering. And we also offer resources for anyone that might need any kind of resources, for anyone struggling with substance use disorder or any kind of trauma that they might need work with. You can always reach out to us on our Facebook page. I am a heroin addict. Yes, I said our Facebook page is I Am a Heroin Addict. Shoot us a message if you need to get connected with any resources, and would be more than happy to help you out with that. We've actually helped people out all over the country get connected with resources, help people get to treatment, get them any kind of literature that they might need, or get set up with any kind of shelter or therapy that they might need. So if you're looking for any support today, please reach out. Or if the alleged senator says anything that you think you needed to hear today, you can also reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to connect you with him. Hi.
Hey, you know what's crazy?
What?
I'm a heroin addict too.
What?
Facts.
Thank you for having me on your show. What are we going to talk about today?
All right, you gotta cut that out now. You can make me laugh.
For real, what are we talking about?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's your show.
Shit. We're talking about shoes?
No.
Well,
wow. Okay, so you're a heroin addict.
Yes.
Why are you here?
Well, because you asked me to be here. You said I gotta be honest.
Yes. You're a heroin addict. Are you an active heroin addict?
No, I got like 16 months clean.
Okay.
A little over 16 months.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah.
So for myself, when I first got clean, like what I realized, so I like made it to recovery thinking that like drugs were bad. And like drugs are bad, but what I very quickly learned is that like drugs weren't my problem. That like I was my problem. And so for you, like before you like ever picked up like a drink or a drug or anything like that, like what was your life like?
Well, I grew up in a home with my mother, my stepfather, and my half brother and sister. It was like an alcoholic home, and like I felt like the odd child out, you know what I mean? Because like my dad wasn't there. He was an active addict. He died when I was like 13 of an overdose. So like I was doing like whatever I could to get attention, like where I felt like it was lacking, and like usually that was from like acting out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had that like lost sense of identity from like a young age, and like with that like became like aggression and like acting out, like I just said, and like I got sent to like youth detention centers a lot.
How old were you?
13 is when
13.
I first started going. Yeah, like
Okay.
it all like went downhill once my dad passed away. I didn't really know him, but like I feel like maybe that was a reason to like another reason to act out and like get that attention from my mother that I felt like I never was able to get.
Mm-hmm.
So
you went to youth detention centers, and like what happened from there?
Oh man, I started acting out even worse. You know what I mean? Because
when you say acting out, because like so. Acting out for me 6 years ago looks much different than acting out for me today, but both are still acting out.
I was getting a lot of like physical altercations. I was selling drugs at a young age.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah, you're right. My bad. Senators can't be doing that stuff. Yeah, so I was like getting a lot of fights, getting kicked out of school, and like it all, like what was getting me arrested was like the fights at home, right? Because like my stepdad's an alcoholic, and like he handled things in the way like he thought was best with his thinking at the time, and like when I got old enough, like I started fighting back, and like it got pretty bad to like where my mom couldn't handle me being in the home with like my younger brother and sister that seeing that. So like I was getting sent away. I probably spent like 2 to 3 years total in juvenile detention.
Okay.
But like every time I got out, I lasted like a month because like I brought that like institutionalized mentality of like having to be like aggressive to get like your point across and stuff, and like that tough guy act and all that. So like I really didn't spend too much time in school, and that kind of like robbed me of the opportunity of like having normal relationships with people and like having like a childhood like everyone else had.
So what I'm hearing is like a lot of disconnection.
Yeah.
So growing up, and correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing is growing up in kind of just like a rocky environment, not sure of who you are, kind of just feeling like the negative attention is better than no attention. So just really acting out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna keep going. My bad.
All right. So we're at like what? Like, because you said you spent like about 3 years approximately in youth detentions. So we're at like about 16. Have we picked up substances yet?
Oh yeah, so like at like 13, I started smoking weed and like drinking and doing like Xanax and Adderall because like that was the thing, right? So like I had connections with like the wrong people. Some of my friends' parents are like in bike gangs, and like others who are like active addicts. So like those are the people like I went towards because I felt more comfortable with them, right? Because like I felt like they got me and like understood my situation, and like accepted me. So like I was doing that, and then I'd get locked up, and like I ended up aging out at 17, but like I was getting out periodically in between. So like at 16 is the first time I did heroin, and like that's the only opiate I've ever done. And then like a couple months later, I started shooting up and doing all that fun stuff.
So 17 years you maxed out and you got out, and where did you go from there?
I ended up going back to my mom's because like I did the step down, and like at my last step down, I ended up in this place called the Dover Children's Home, and like I ended up going to high school.
Is that in the Seacoast?
Yeah, it's right in Dover, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you from the Seacoast?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started going to high school at Dover High, and I met this girl, got her pregnant, because like I thought that was like what was gonna save me, right? Like having that family aspect that I never had, and like it worked for like a little bit until it didn't, right? Until I started hanging out with those old friends again. Then I ended up dropping out because I don't really talk about this a lot because I still feel like a lot of shame and guilt. But like when my daughter was like 10 months old, I had her and like I overdosed with her in the car with me. Like luckily I had someone else to call an EMT, but like I was like dead for like 2 minutes, right? And they said I was lucky to be revived. And like it's a small town, so like it got in the paper and like everyone was talking about it. So like all that shame and guilt, like I stopped going to school. And then like a couple months later I went to jail, and yeah, it just kind of went downhill from there.
Okay. So you went to jail. So you're still like, okay, so hold on. First of all, we introduced you as the alleged senator.
Yeah.
So like, what is your name? Who are you?
Oh, I'm Noah, and I'm a drug addict.
And a recovery advocate as well, right?
Yeah, recovery
advocate. Okay. And so how old are you now?
I'm 25.
25, okay. So how old are you when you overdose in the car with your daughter and things start really going downhill from there?
I was 18.
18. So there's a 7-year gap in between there.
Oh yeah, so you want to know everything that went down?
I mean, I just kind of want to know how you found your way to recovery, so I'm going to keep asking questions.
Oh yeah,
till we get there.
I could just tell you it all. Yeah, so I went to jail, and then like I played out to a program, which is like was a state run, so like it wasn't like the best. Called the ARC program, which is in Dover, right next to the jail.
Pretty good program though.
Back in the day, it was tough.
Yeah, that's what made it good.
Yeah, I got kicked out after 2 weeks.
Yep, seems about right after knowing you for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, because like I said, like I had that institutionalized mentality, and like I brought it everywhere I go because like I didn't know really how to like act off my emotions correctly.
Yeah.
So like I had some poor words for the director, and like they're mic'd up there in every single room, and like they heard it and like told me I had to go. And like I was looking at, I think it was like 7 years in prison. because when I got arrested, they arrested me for the overdose, and like I had drugs on me and stuff. But like if I completed a program, like they were just gonna get me on probation and all that. So like I rushed to get into another program. I ended up going to the Farnham Center, and like graduated that by like the skin of my teeth. And I think it was like the first day out, I was smoking weed again. You know what I mean? And like it was just like a constant repeated cycle. I've been to Green Mountain like a handful of times. I got kicked out of there. I graduated a couple times. I've been to Farnham, North and South. Where else? Hampstead Hospital. The latest one was Gatehouse for like 2 weeks. And like, I like finessed them into graduating me early. But yeah, and then, so like in the middle of that, right, like I went to Green Mountain. I did my steps, the AA steps. I went to a sober house out in Portland. I was up there for a little while. I relapsed. I stayed up there. I was up for like 2 years, and like I moved my kid up there, my kid's mother, because like we were trying to work things out, and I don't know, like it gets to a certain point where like I think I'm like cured, right, and like I got the job, I got the car, like I'm doing all this stuff, so like I put recovery on the back burner, right, and I never really like, cause I can tell you what's wrong with me all day long, right? Like I can do a 4-step, no problem. Like I know where I'm fucked up and where I like. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, all
You're
right.
not supposed to, but live your best life.
Like I can tell you what's wrong with me all day long, right? But like I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah.
And like I never worked on like fixing it. Like I can tell you all the wrong and like things I do and like I'm sorry and all that, but like I don't know how to like fix that and like get that sense of relief out of myself. So like I just kept relapsing, and then like I went on a long run. I was still in and out of treatments, and like this time around I had like a pretty bad habit. I know one of the guys that's like a director at Green Mountain now, and like I was supposed to go in, and for like 6 days he's like, yo, where you at, blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, I'll be in. That same old story. And then like he texted me one night, he's like, dude, I'll come pick you up after my shift. And he got out at 11. And like he drove all the way to Dover to pick me up, and like I was getting high in his car the whole ride up there, and he was not too happy with me throwing stuff out the window. And
You're a mess. Dude.
yeah. It was bad. And like I showed up there, and like I had to kick cold turkey. Like they were so sick of my shit that like, you're gonna suffer through this. So I kicked cold turkey there, and I had to do all the groups. I spent like 2 months there, and then I went to Turning Point again, and then I completed that program, and then I ended up going to Starting Point. And like through that, like I met this girl, obviously, because like other than drugs, like women is my next addiction, right? Because like it gives me that like, fills that void, and like if someone could love me, like obviously I'm not that bad in my head. And like I ended up moving in with her. I relapsed again, because like I wasn't.
They say, I mean, getting sober is hard, but like getting sober isn't my biggest challenge. Staying sober.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like once again, like I wasn't doing the meetings. Like she was like a normie, so like she knew that I was an addict, right? Like I was upfront and honest with her about everything, and like I told her like I was in treatment at the time and all that. But like she thought it'd be cool. Like she was cool with me like smoking weed and drinking, right?
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
If you don't suffer from the phenomenon of Graven, how do you know about it?
So like that was going on, right? And like, but still like with smoking weed, like I'm spending $100 a day on weed because like I'm trying to get out of myself.
Yeah.
And it got to the point like I didn't have a license, but like I was taking a car and like I was going to copping and like using it in a bathroom. And then I'd come out and like she knew I wasn't smoking weed or drinking. I was like, I'm just smoking a joint, I'm high. And like clearly I was out of my mind. And it got to the point where like she like got tired of, because like when I'm getting high, like I'm not a nice person at all. Like I'm very aggressive, I'm very standoffish. like I ruin my life and everyone's around me, right? Because like if I'm gonna be miserable, like you're gonna be miserable too, right? Like that's my mindset when I'm getting high. So it got to the point like she knew what I was doing, but like didn't really know, and I ended up getting kicked out, and like
She kicked you out?
yeah,
Okay.
um,
She'd had enough of you.
yeah, like she kind of like she had her mom and like her friend like helped her do it because like she was such a nice person that she like felt bad doing it, and like just couldn't stand up to me to do it, which like I get because like I said like I'm like a very aggressive person. I'm getting high, and then I go to gay house, and I do that, but like I was only getting high for like it was maybe like a month or two, but like it was sporadically, right? So like I didn't have like a big habit. But like I had this plan, right? Like for me at least, like when I'm getting sober, like I don't do it for myself. Like I never can in the beginning, right? Because I don't have like that self-worth or like faith in myself that I can do it, right? But like if my mom's like asking me enough, right? Or like my girlfriend at the time, or like my daughter, right? Like I do it for them. And like it usually never works, right? Because like I never end up wanting it myself. But like that's what I do. Like I do it for other people because like that's what always gets me in because like that shame and that guilt of like causing harm to them like gets great enough to where like I gotta do something. So I did the thing like I always do. I'm like, yo, I'll do a year in sober living. I'll sign up for this year-long IOP program. I'll get on Vivitrol and like I did all that, right? And like I ended up going to Rise Above. And like that's how I got graduated early because like I had all this stuff set up. And like I think I bitched enough to where they're like, all right, yeah, you can go. We're kind of tired of you. So like I go do that, right? And like that relationship ends up like ending at like when I'm like 6 months clean. And like I didn't have a program. I wasn't working any program, but like the one thing I did do was like gain connections, right? And like lucky enough for me, I did because like, I would have gotten high. Like I was ready to like either get high or kill myself because like I was so miserable. But like luckily I had a bunch of guys who like dragged me out to meetings, dragged me back in the gym.
So it's 6 months sober.
Yeah.
Okay.
No program. Like I had a sponsor on paper.
Yeah,
Right?
dude, one of them, huh?
Yeah.
I guess has to get one time, dude.
Facts. I talked to him, but like never about
Yeah.
nothing really at the
Yeah.
time, right? So I ended up like my sponsor was like, yo, why don't you like, because I called him and I was like, yo, I don't think this is for me. I think I'm gonna go back to the streets and like go back to doing my thing because like that's what I do, right? Like when I get uncomfortable, I like feelings start to come, right? Like I go back to selling drugs and like using drugs allegedly, because like that's what gets me outside of myself and I don't have to think about that, because I don't really like know how to, even like to this day, like I don't really know how to deal with my emotions like in the correct way all the time. But he was like, oh, why don't you take a suggestion, like stop being a bitch and like I should do something. And like for me personally, like that's how I need to be talked to by like someone I know like cares about me and wants the best for me. Like I know not everyone like takes that stuff the right way.
I'm
like
pretty thick-headed, so I
Yeah.
really need a sponsor to really tell me.
Yeah,
how
I
it
need
is,
someone
too.
that's like stern with me and
Yeah.
like
Don't worry about my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like I know he cares about me, but like he knows like that's how I need to be talked to.
Yeah.
Because like I don't listen like the easier, softer way. It's like not for me, right? I need to like be directed and like told like, yo, this is what you need to do. Because like in structured environments, like I'm great. Like I'm the rehab all-star. Like I can do everything you want me to do, but like once I'm like out and like left to myself, like I'm screwed. Because like I don't know what to do with myself. So like I get 2 home groups, like I start writing steps, like I do all that, right? And like I get involved and like that's really what helped me, right? And like I'm still sick and suffering, so like I go back to that relationship. After I swore I wasn't going to, because like she ended up hitting me up again, and then we broke up and then we got back together and like that went on for a while. Until I was like, it ended this last time. I was like, all right, I can't keep doing this to myself, right? Because it's like a one-sided street and like I'm putting my all into this and like doing everything I can. And like you're only just like about you until like while it's convenient for you until you find someone else or something else that like you feel better about or whatever, and then it's over with. So that like ended the beginning of this year, I think, or like around December. And like through all that, like I had like the guys in my life like stick by me and like not judge me because like I made poor decisions, right? Like I always say this like when I share meetings, like I don't work like a perfect program, like whatsoever. I've like tried to fight people in recovery. I've gotten in trouble. Like I've had to deal with like court cases and stuff like that. But like the one thing I am is honest. And it's not like always like the best honesty, but like I'm honest with like stuff. And like I'm trying to get better at like being a better person and like thinking about other people before I think about myself, right? Because like usually if like there's nothing in it for me or like I can't gain something from the situation, then like I want no part in it. But like this past year, like a lot's changed for me, and like I feel like my recovery really like started this year, like around like 1 year, because like I started doing a lot more service work. Like I now work at like a treatment center part time.
What I'm curious. So you have a year of sobriety, but sobriety and recovery are two very different things.
Yeah, I had like abstinence.
What changed? Not the things that you were doing, but like I'm talking about internally within you. What changed when you started your recovery journey?
So what it was is like I just got sick of my own shit. Like I got tired of myself. I got tired of like causing the pain to others. Like I was sober, but I was still living like a unspiritual life.
Mm-hmm. So to adhere to spiritual principles, let's say.
Yeah.
What was the desired outcome for you? Like what benefits did you reap from that?
Just to like be able to be comfortable with myself and like okay with the decisions I'm making, right? Because like I would make decisions knowing they were wrong, but just willing to like accept the outcome, right? Because like that's something I've always been able to do. Like whether like back when I was using, like I always knew like there was a chance I could go to jail, like something bad can happen, but like I was okay with it. And like that's why like I never like regretted any decision I made because like I knew the outcome and I was willing to accept the consequences. Good, bad, or like indifferent, like I was okay with that. But like now, like I'm not willing to like accept bad consequences, so I try my best not to make bad decisions. But like I still fall short. You know what I mean?
Messy.
Yeah.
You know? How cool that you have all these messy experiences, and how inspiring to the new guy to see that like you can be a flawed human, because no matter how many masks all of us try and wear and to pretend to be what we're not, you know, we're just messy humans.
Yeah.
And you can make it through that, and you can be honest with them about that. I recently started operating a sober living, and so one of the things that I really try to add to my house is that it's like okay to be a flawed human. And it's like, so when my girls fall short, I'm not coming at them in like a reprimanding way. Like I'm sitting down with them and I'm like, okay, this is what you did. What do you think we could do? Of course, there's going to be some type of like plan in place to help like fix what they've done. But like, I'm not telling them usually what their restrictions or what their consequences are. I'm sitting down with them and they're telling me like, how do we make this right? And that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man, it's like, if that's like one thing I've learned is like just because like I got sober doesn't mean I'm gonna be perfect, right? And like for the longest time, like I beat myself up. Like if I didn't meet my own expectations in my head, like I'm clean now, I shouldn't be like doing this or acting like this or like having these thoughts, right? And like I recently moved out of sober living, and like those thoughts came back to my head, like, oh, I can drink sometimes, you know what I mean? Like after working 70 hours a week, I can go have a drink or like I smoke some weed, but then I'm like, that's gonna lead me back to like.
I mean, maybe you could, but your experience shows
Yeah,
you can't.
no, every
and then it
time.
goes way worse, right? If you can,
Yeah.
so why lose that? You know.
And like now, like I have like relationships I'm not willing to give up, right? Like me and my sister have a relationship now, and like for the longest time, like we didn't talk at all. Or like when we did, she'd be like, "Oh, you're a junkie, blah blah blah, whatever." Which like she wasn't wrong, but like we didn't have like a healthy relationship, right? And like she just recently had like a a daughter, and like I got to go see her and stuff. And like 16 months ago, that wouldn't have like been in the cards. Me and my mom have a great relationship now.
That's
like,
awesome.
We always like kind of did, but like it got to the point where she was like doing the Al-Anon meetings and all that, and like stopped enabling me, so like she wouldn't let me to the house and stuff. But like now she's like, oh yeah, when like I'm in touch, like, oh, you can just go to the house, like I'll be there soon. Like that wasn't happening before, right?
Yeah. That's really cool when your family finally trusts
yeah.
you back in the house.
I feel uncomfortable still to this day. Like, you sure?
So there are probably so many people watching the show that have no idea what we're talking about, but I literally know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So you sure you want me to go there? I'll wait outside.
Yeah. My dad gave me like the garage door opener one day. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, life's like, I wouldn't say like second to none like a lot of people say, because like, yo, life happens like on its own terms, right? And like there's a lot of stuff like I don't like that happens in my life, but like I know how to deal with things in like a better way now. Like it's not always the best. Like sometimes I'm still like reactive and impulsive on some situations, but like I'm quick to correct them now. And like I got a bunch of guys in my life, like I can run shit by, and like, yo, they don't co-sign any of my shit. Let me tell you that. Like I usually get like yelled at and reprimanded a lot if like I make a bad decision. And like now I'm like willing to be like open and like able to like accept I wouldn't say criticism, but like suggestions like from them on like how to like move differently or like act accordingly to those situations. So
Are you nervous still?
No.
Because you just crushed it, dude.
Yeah, I just took the time. I was like,
We're
oh,
like
goddamn.
done, bro.
Shit.
Yeah, you're a natural. You should come back. You want to run the show?
No.
Yeah.
I got too
Actually,
much.
this is your show, so.
I got too much on my plate, man.
So for like anyone watching it, by the way, you've said a lot of really inspiring and like truthful and genuine things, and I appreciate that. For anyone that's watching at home, they're struggling, they feel hopeless, they're not sure they can get it, because you know what it's like to be stuck in like that vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Or their loved one watching their loved one go through that vicious cycle. Like, what do you have to say to them?
I would just say like use whatever you can to get in recovery until like you have at least a little bit of self-love or like willingness to do it for yourself and like not give up, because like I gave up myself so many times and like thought like that's what I deserved, when like in reality like I deserve a life like second to none and like better than like I ever could imagine. And like I got that today, and like I still fall short, but like just not to give up on yourself. And you know what I mean, like every day is a new day. You can like start over when you wake up.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So anyone watching from home, if you want to get connected with Noah, please reach out to our Facebook page, I Am a Heroin Addict, and we'll make sure to do that. And as always, thank you for joining us.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.